So Moera Tufunga is the Cultural Diversity Counsellor and Mental Health Advisor in the Mental Health and Wellbeing team of Equity, Diversity, Safety and Wellbeing at Western Sydney University. Her areas of interest include cultural inclusiveness, youth development, suicide prevention, mental health and wellbeing. Moera is passionate about community development, cultural safety, treatment research, and effective approaches for suicide prevention in young people from Indigenous Australian and Pacific communities. That's our intro for Moera.
Oh, thank you, Nico. You're so cute. Now, that was beautiful. Can I just acknowledge you as well, how you've played a big part in the Talanoa Initiative as well? So he was one of our student ambassadors for this year. So, yeah, thank you, Nico. I'll just shift on, and I'm going to hand over to Sella just to do our acknowledgement of country. Thank you.
All right, set. Okay, so before we start, we would like to acknowledge the traditional keepers of the many lands we meet on today. We would like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend respect to Indigenous and non-Indigenous people who share this space today.
We acknowledge those ancestors that have defended, walked and managed these lands for many generations before us, and who have left a legacy of strong culture, wisdom and knowledge embedded in these lands. For those who don't know me, my name is Moera Tufunga. I am an Indigenous Rutuman Australian woman zooming in today from Darkinjung lands, and I have the honour of serving across the Darug lands in Greater Western Sydney region.
My name is Sela Loseline Tayamonisiale. I am a full Tongan woman hailing from the villages of Anakpolu and Kala'au, and I am blessed to be presenting here today.
Thanks, Sela. Today I represent the Mental Health and Wellbeing team at Western Sydney University. We work collaboratively with the Counselling, Welfare and Disability Services. Our mission is really simple. We support staff to support students. I'm extremely passionate about community development, as Nico had shared, particularly for our young people who are at risk with suicidality and disconnection to identity and belonging. I am joined today by one of our Talanoa Initiative student facilitators, who we refer to as Pasifika heroes, Sela Siale. Thank you. She is just in her final semester, well, actually just finished her dual degree in a Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Social Science. She majored in psychology and majored in philosophy. Her work experience includes youth work, group work and consultancy as a Pasifika youth leader for several different initiatives, including the Mental Health Talanoa Research Project that is led by Professor Georgie Ravullo, Tears and Transformation, which was with the Juvenile Justice, led by Path, and then we had The Journey, South Sea Communities, and then the Talanoa Initiative, which is led by our team.
So the Mental Health and Wellbeing team would also like to acknowledge our key internal and external stakeholders that have supported the Talanoa Initiative, including but not limited to the following community partners, as you can see on the slide. So that's Pacifica Achievement to Higher Education, PATH, who help co-facilitate the Talanoa sessions, Mental Health and Wellbeing Team and Safety Strategy, which is Moera, Widening Participation, who provide Pacific Student Ambassadors, also known as Pacific Heroes, help co-create and design the topics of discussions at Talanoa, student community, including chaplaincy, counselling, School of Medicine, who actually refer their first and second year students on field placement to participate in our Talanoa sessions, University of Sydney, which is the Mental Health and Talanoa Research Project, and our three largest Pacifica networks who are established across Greater Western Sydney region, which is New South Wales Council for Pacific Communities, Pacific Integrated Network, and Pacific Island Mount Druitt Action Network. So malolele and warm Pacific greetings to you all. Thank you guys for joining us here today on our workshop. So today we'll be presenting an overview of what the Talanoa Initiative has to offer and our position within the university. So a brief background and a rationale will be shared to help you see our vision of what Talanoa is. So that'll be briefly outlined here in our slide that you can see. And more specifically today, we'll be highlighting the basis of our initiative, which is the power in lived experiences and the voices of staff, students, and participants to further engage with our existing resources identified.
Thanks, Sela. Okay, so just a little bit of a background for you. In 2018, we lost 2 Pacifica students to death by suicide, and it did happen on campus. By 2019, it was reported by the Pacifica community that we had lost 19 Pacifica young people. Now, the past 2 years during the COVID pandemic, it has been quite difficult to review and update these statistics due to no established registry for us to report these cases. However, what we do know and what we hear through consultations and the Talanoa sessions is that we are still continuously losing our loved ones to this reoccurring problem. The Talanoa Initiative unveils one significant paradox pertaining to how students were not accessing university services for mental health support due to the lack of cultural safety. Now, Pasifika students would often report to the PATH team around, family, study, life challenges. However, their capacity to support their complex needs at time was very challenged, and that was far beyond their capacity and skill set to respond accordingly. It's not part of their roles and responsibility, right? They do the best job that they can, but at the end of the day, trying to access our mainstream services for support was quite difficult. The system didn't exist. Through consultation with students ongoing and reports that were identified, there are gaps between students linking back into our services, and that's got a lot to do with language barriers as well, feeling unsafe with staff not understanding cultural practices, and ties back to family expectations. The lack of understanding with the cultural nuances as well between various specific islands on spiritual beliefs, way of culture, life, language, food, dance, all has this major impact on the social and health detriments of our people. Now, student services have always existed. However, there was no clear referral pathway guiding our students to access support services or just feeling safe to get there. And vice versa, our community, they didn't have a connection with us. There was a big disconnection. The need to provide further support for our Pasifika staff and wider community to feel well equipped to manage these at-risk cases, we had to consider a new way and approach in working collaboratively with our student partners. Now, who are our student partners? They are the students who were most impacted by what happened, combined with new students who wanted to learn more about mental health and wellbeing. How we reach our objectives is through championing wellbeing. Okay, it's through promotion, prevention, early intervention, and response. Our priorities include building upon our existing quality services like counselling, welfare, disability, and introducing new innovative and transformative ways that are inclusive to Pacific cultural perspectives. How do we do that? Through engaging, communicating, igniting, and educating through psychoeducation. Now, because of the collective nature of our communities, it is important for us to work with our key cohorts. That includes our Pasifika University students, our staff members, and the wider community. Now, at Western Sydney University, there are approximately 1,226 Pasifika students, and we have an active engagement with about 20% of these. Each Talanoa session is tailored towards the needs of its respective participants. What underpins this work is the value of education, and of equal importance is culture, which enhances the importance of community and this sense of belonging.
The concept of Talanoa is derived from several Pacific cultures, including Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa. I'm sure most of, if not all of you gathered here today will have come across, used, or experienced the Talanoa yourselves. But for those that haven't, to Talanoa means to talk, with the aim to bring people together and share their views freely. The space is created and determined by its participants while ensuring that inclusivity, reconciliation, and respect is at the core of discussions. As Pacific people, we Talanoa with our friends, our families, and our extended communities. We Talanoa with an open mind and an open heart. So throughout this presentation, we hope that you'll be able to utilize these specific tools to Talanoa in your lives to help maximize the aims and objectives as highlighted in the slide, which is to champion, encourage, and to provide.
The Talanoa Initiative has been supported by the Mental Health and Wellbeing Safety Strategy. The strategy was established back in 2012, which is derived from a safer community model. Our first in-person session with community took place last year in August, where Western Sydney Uni students decided on the topics they wanted to discuss throughout the workshops regarding mental health and wellbeing. Students would volunteer to co-facilitate alongside our Pasifika professionals and community members on key themes identified from the planning and consult session, which happens at the beginning. It includes topics of discussion such as family relationships and friendships, culture and religion, education and life balance, trauma and its impacts. It changes. These Talanoa sessions had a manifold impact. So due to the nature of engagement that it took place, what you can see in the slide is that this model of engagement starts with the Talanoa sessions And then it has this wraparound village approach in terms of support. So you've got youth services management, you've got Western Sydney Uni social workers, which is my team, as well as students that are completing their final placements with us, 600 hours, and they get the experience to do community development and group work. Western Sydney Uni students were keen to facilitate these sessions according to their goals for the space, which was honoured throughout each session. As I said, the first session we did in community was last year in August, and we had 182 participants engage. The total occasions for access this year, 2021, we had approximately 500 participants, which is just it's outstanding to even think that we could even shift this space online. The purpose is really, really clear, and this sits within the strategy. So it's promotion of well-being of our people, it's to enhance a safer community, and it's to continue to strengthen our inclusive environment. This picture here is a reflection of the end of our Talanoa sessions, but you know, I can't explain, like each week the numbers just increase, you know, significantly, and it just, Stella, can you see yourself in there? I don't think you can, you covered yourself with writing. But all of these students here, yeah, absolutely amazing, and I'm just so grateful for their time and effort. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with you a video that we used for a campaign for Mental Health Awareness Month, and it was around the Talanoa. I hope you can hear it. I'll press play and just let me know if it's working on your end.
Yep, all working.
If you can hear me, this is just to help, you know, build on this narrative we are sharing with you today. So it was about raising awareness around mental health and well-being, which was very new when we started this. Stella, you look great on here.
Hi, my name is Stella Scarlett, and I am 22 years old. I'm studying at Western Sydney University. I'm full Tongan, and I'm doing a bachelor's in social science and arts.
Hi guys, I'm Manifo. I'm 22 years old. I'm of Samoan and Māori culture. Currently studying criminology in hopes to get into medical school.
Hi guys, I'm Rachel Walisi. I'm 22 years old. I'm Samoan. I'm currently studying a Bachelor of Criminal Community Justice at Western Sydney. Alright, cool. How are you all today? How'd you find the trip here?
I'm so sorry, we got here late.
You're like down the road.
I know.
I know you're like, I'm late, but you're down the road. Yeah. Alright, let's get going into it. So, what do you guys think about like mental health in general?
I think that it's not acknowledged as much as it should be.
Specifically within our island communities. I think mental health is something that a lot of us are afraid to speak of. A lot of us are uneducated in whole mental health and the effects it has. Like suicide, that's a big thing that we should be covering. We don't even know the stats, eh? Like when you look at it online, when you try and find specific statistics on mental health in our Pacific Islander communities and the effects of poor mental health, you can't really find anything unless it's in New Zealand or the US. A lot of it's not being really uncovered. Going back onto suicide, when you think about it, it's like such a taboo word. When you bring it up to your parents are automatically like, oh, those kids are so stupid. Yeah. Why do you think it scares like so many of us?
Well, relating back to our culture, they don't know what depression is. They don't know what poor mental health is. That's why we can't really talk to our parents about it. If we do, they would probably say back to us, oh, why are you like that? Just toughen up, you know. We all with our parents telling us, if you fall, you just pick yourself back up. And that's what my parents taught me, you know.
Do you think it has anything to do with the fact that we don't really have a translation for suicide in our language? I mean, my Samoan is pretty bad, so I wouldn't even know it. But to be honest, I've never heard the word suicide. I've never heard anyone say it in Samoan.
It's like a big influence to hiding out emotions.
Like weakness is like frowned upon. Majority of like the people that I know, the way their parents were raised was real tough, and so they've got this tough skin. People showing signs of weakness, like their children, it's kind of like pick yourself up, I'm strong. And I feel like that's a big reason as to why a lot of our young Pacific Islanders suffer.
Yeah, it's not like something you can really blame them for because it's all they know, you know. Just trying to get them to allow themselves to understand this generation, you know.
Yeah, showing emotions plays a major role in kind of allowing like parents to understand mental health. It's so important for us to show that it's alright to cry, It's alright to talk about things that are personal, things that you're going through.
Everyone goes through pain. It's just the fact that the pain that someone goes through affects them differently to how it'll affect someone else.
Mentally, it helps all of us at the end of the day. It helps us to kind of help educate our older generation in understanding that emotions are pretty important for us to show. And not only that, but it helps you personally. Being able to make that first step and kind of break that ground and let everything out and reaching out and talking about it, that's a major step for you. I think it's so important for parents to kind of understand that.
So just a little bit of a reflection there, trying to hold my tears back, but how far have we come? That was like off the back of the first lot of sessions that happened, and it just brings me so much joy and happiness to know that, you know, we have more students engaging in this space, staff members and our community members wanting to contribute, you know, to this need. So I might hand over to you.
Oh, good. So yeah, hopefully that video gave you guys an insight of what Talanoa is and what we aim to promote throughout our community. In the slide, you can see that we put a timeline of how our journey even began. We start with counseling, then we moved to community partnership. We even had a retreat. And then throughout that, we just worked on building our skills and experiences by attending different workshops. So yeah, we've come a very long way. So yeah. So this initiative dictates the journey we've been on. I'm a very firm believer in sharing our truth and recognizing our personal narratives. It's a testimony of our journey, whether it be of hardship, of loss, triumph, or victory. These experiences really shape our truth and narrate how we come about in life and the way we choose to navigate towards it. So what we found was that looking in engaging university students, it's become more apparent that they need spaces to feel comfortable and confident to be themselves in what could be described as unfamiliar territory. These spaces are aimed to support students to own their narrative and appreciate their lived experiences, which when applied to their university experiences, bring a wealth of knowledge and skills to their career paths. Talanoa promotes student voices that help shape the work that we do. So in doing so, our platform serves as an effective means of engagement, allowing them to be heard, understood, supported, and where possible, remembered for their contributions.
Thanks, Stella. And just to add to that, you know, with what Georgie said earlier today, he said, you know, it's about being seen, heard, included, and valued. I love how he did mention that, because it aligns with everything that we do with the Talanoa Initiative. Now, the Talanoa, what I realised when I was first appointed in this role is they told me to come in as a counsellor, but that's not what it was. We had to do community development. You know, there was a lot of things that were missing. It was challenging structural inequality, and it was acknowledging, you know, all different walks of life to come together, connect, intersect, and grow together through education. The students lead the conversations that are meaningful to them, but they need people to help support that notion. The work that we do comes from a frame of reference called the Cultural Diversity and Community Engagement Framework. This sits within the Mental Health and Wellbeing Safety Strategy. So as I told you, I started off as a counsellor, and then the mental health and wellbeing team could see what I was doing with the Talanoa sessions, and they were like, hang on a minute, what you're doing actually aligns with this strategy. Come over here, work with us, let us help support you. Amazing. Our Talanoa project team, it works in the community sector and are from the communities. What we're able to do is a result of our own lived experiences. Another thing that Georgie mentioned earlier today, that are constantly moving and it's evolving. So in other words, we appreciate the cultural and social capital that is inherent in our communities. That includes our family, that includes, you know, our teammates, our workmates, and church communities. So how do we incorporate this? Through following: inclusion of cultural responsive elements. Staff support the Talanoa sessions by coordinating the initiative over the semester. It goes for 10 weeks. We provide safety disclaimers at the beginning of each session on how to keep safe and reach out, options for further support, clearer referral pathways, and then we invite the wider community to come in as guest speakers. It includes our Pasifika professionals. It includes, our youth workers that are working with our young people who are at risk. When you think about mental health, anybody can help anyone with support. But if it's ill health, that's when we understand you need to get professional help.
Awesome, thanks, Moera. In our lead as university students, we use elements in the Talanoa to engage, empower, and educate our people to greater access to mental health support. Talanoa creates a safe space, mimicking the roots of where it first began. The setup of our space acts as an informal gathering, creating a safe and familiar environment for students to freely share and discuss. If you even think about it, you can Talanoa means just to talk. Like, even when you have those late D&Ms at 4 a.m. with a drink up with your friends to the sunrise, that's a Talanoa in itself. That's when you talk. It's when you feel vulnerable enough to share stuff that you don't want to be judged on, or just to even just freely discuss. So that's basically this kind of space that we're mimicking. And we also incorporate this in other different workshops, like working with refugee, new emerging communities, and our yarn sessions, working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. The use of storytelling from staff and students as a means of sharing the university journey is absolutely powerful. Each of our sessions has a narrative component which supports lived experiences to truly highlight that access and success at tertiary education is possible and powerful in sharing the truth and journey. The mental health and wellbeing team provide ongoing support for both students and staff to meet, connect, and share experiences through debriefs and plan together how to implement for upcoming sessions. Our people are the experts in their lives, so their voices need to be heard to help provide more effective treatment plans when moving forward. The Talanoa Initiative at Western has really proven to be effective, and the testimonies of our participants say that we need more of them for our community.
Thanks, Stella. So basically, in a nutshell, it's about responding to need rather than defining what the needs are, right? That's what it is. And it starts with that first session, planning and consult, identify what the key themes are, and then shift that into the topics of discussion. This is just a whole series of photos I'm reflecting on again from the first lot that we did over at Blacktown Youth Services. So consistent engagement with stakeholders who we work with is extremely important. And I do want to acknowledge the hosting community services that have been involved in this journey, like Blacktown Youth Services Association, Street University at Mount Druitt and Liverpool, and for next year, Matavai Cultural Arts.
So effective engagement needs to put lived experiences at the forefront of our work, and that's what we're trying to promote. The inclusion of voices for those that we serve in community is equivalent to ensuring that we provide a responsive approach to engagement. Having students at the heart of the work we do is absolutely vital. Who they are is just as important as where they're going. Students' past experiences are just as important as the new ones they make at university. With all these things in mind, it speaks to how we can create and enhance meaningful engagements with our communities. As a collective, we share our successes, big or small, and these successes give courage to young people ready to embrace the next chapter of their lives. To have students enjoy their time at Western, graduate, and fulfill their life dreams is the ultimate goal for us. Communication is absolute key, and the experiences students journey on is what Talanoa maximizes. Talanoa encourages and empowers our individuals to own their truth and narrative that is well deserving of praise. So in saying that, as we love to say in Talanoa, our students are the Pasifika heroes.
They are the Pasifika heroes. They are the ones that go and lead these conversations. They are the ones that advocate for those that don't feel comfortable about sharing. We've had people come into this space and not say a word, and then at the end of the session, they're like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, wow, I didn't even know you were actually listening. Cameras are off sometimes, then they turn their cameras on towards the end. Like, it's just amazing just to see how this, it works, and to witness it, it's a real testimony